Elbaf isn't just a land of giants. It is the linchpin that can unravel some of One Piece's biggest mysteries and completely flip the series on its head. From Usopp's long overdue growth to unearthing the truth behind the ancient legends like Sun God Nika, with the world's most formidable warriors, potential revelations about the Void Century, and the Giant's legacy hanging in the balance. This arc has the power to redefine everything we think about the future of One Piece. Because if you thought you had any idea what's coming, trust me, you don't know shit. I don't know shit. I don't even think Oda knows shit. Anyways, let's talk about this shit. Alright, so let's take a step back and think about Usopp's character arc. He's been glazing over the giants of Elbaf, the pinnacle of what it means to be a brave warrior. They're huge, they're fearless, and meanwhile Usopp, well... Now let's just fast forward deep into the Elbaf arc, where Usopp finally gets his moment to take in the Elbaf atmosphere, and here's the catch. Elbaf's whole culture is built around the idea that dying in battle is the ultimate badge of honor. It's like the Giants took one look at the samurai from Wado and said, well shit, I guess y'all wanted to copy and paste the Olympics now. These guys practically live for combat, and apparently kicking the bucket during battle is the only way to achieve peak respect. In comes Usopp, who's less about that dying gloriously lifestyle and more about, survival. We've already seen a glimpse of this during the Wano arc, where Usopp straight out called out the samurai for their obsession with glorifying death in battle. He didn't hold back. He's just labeling it as you stupid. For Usopp, it's not about sacrificing yourself for some flashy last stand. It's about living to fight another day and protect the people who actually matter to you. Now in Elbaf, when he faces a culture that worships death in combat, you just know things are going to get very interesting. I can just see it. Usopp standing in front of a bunch of hulking giants who've been raised on the belief that if you're not dying dramatically, you're doing it wrong. He solves a problem that all their strength and honor couldn't touch. Maybe it's a situation where brute force isn't useless, or maybe it requires a level of cunning and strategy that's way outside the giant's comfort zone. This is Usopp's moment to shine, proving that bravery doesn't mean charging in a battle like an idiot. It means being smart, protecting those around you, and honestly, just not wanting to die. This wouldn't just be a win for Usopp's character development. It would challenge an entire nation's beliefs, showing the giants that real courage is about wisdom, heart, and shockingly, not dying at the drop of a hat. Usopp could inspire a whole new generation of warriors in Elbaf to rethink their idea of bravery. So these giants basically eat myths for breakfast. Like, they're all about worshipping gods like Sun God Nika, glorifying battles to the death like they're episodes of Game of Thrones or House of Dragons, since that's the new thing. These stories aren't just bedtime tales to them. They're the literal backbone of their entire culture. They shape how they flex their strength, flaunt their honor, and how they see their destiny. But this is where things get really juicy. In the world of One Piece, we've learned that legends are never as shiny as they look on the surface. So remember Skypiea? The Shandorians were out here worshipping the great Kashigami, but surprise, it was just a massive big-ass snake. Not quite god material. Even Vegapunk dropped some truth bombs that history is messy, not some black and white story of good versus evil. So when we take a hard look at Elbaf, we have to wonder how much of their legendary stories and myths are actually legit. This is where Usopp and Robin come in to shake things up. Robin with her vault of historical knowledge and her connection to Saul, who's been chilling in Elbaf. And then there's Usopp, the guy who loves spinning tall tales but secretly values truth and staying alive a whole lot more than chasing after legends. Now just imagine Usopp staying there, challenging the whole die gloriously in battle culture with this brand of bravery, the one where you don't die because you got people to protect and things to do tomorrow. Meanwhile, Robin's just dropping truth bomb after truth bomb, exposing Elbaf's gods and myths, which are, at best, blown out of proportion. As the giants see their sacred stories unravel, they finally realize that their culture doesn't come from some divine notion of giving your life in battle to prove a point, or to receive acknowledgement of their strength and worthiness from a bunch of gods that might not even exist. Their unity, their power, and their ability to just roll with the punches and adapt, that's what makes them powerful. So once they figure that out, it's game over for all of these old myths. They'll be ready to forge their own future, free from the chains of these dusty-ass old legends. And this is classic One Piece, your destiny is yours to grab. It's not just some cosmic cheat code you're born with. So now that we've established that Elbaf is going to go through a full-on myth-busting session, courtesy of Usopp and Robin and Luffy, the giants aren't just clinging to their gods and warriors. They are sitting on what could be one of the most crucial treasure troves of actual history in the One Piece world. The Giants have lived for centuries. They've been around longer than most other races, which means they've seen some things. They've witnessed history in a way that no one else has. So think about it. Think! While other civilizations were getting wiped out or rewritten by the world government, the Giants of Elbaf have been quietly keeping records, passing down knowledge from generation to generation, so it's not just ancient warrior myths that they've been preserving. It could be crucial, forgotten knowledge about the Void Century, poneglyphs, and the Ancient Kingdom. All the good stuff the world government would love to keep buried. Now toss in Jaguar D. Sol, who's been hiding in Elbaf with all that sweet forbidden knowledge from Ohara. This guy is basically a walking history book, and the world government, yeah, they're probably dying to get their hands on him. Sol's survival means that Elbaf isn't just sitting on myths, they're sitting on the key to unlocking the truth about the Void Century. And Robin's reunion with Sol, that is going to be packed with jaw-dropping revelations that will push the Straw Hats one step closer to uncovering the real history and, yeah, the One Piece. But here's where things get even more interesting. Elbaf's Giants had the strongest military force in the world, and with Haldrudad already a part of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, this puts Luffy in prime position to form an alliance with Elbaf. An alliance between the Straw Hats and Elbaf could be the ultimate trump card in the final battle against the world government. And let's not forget about Blackbeard, who's been lurking in the shadows. Whether he becomes the final boss or not, it's pretty clear that Elbaf's military might will be a huge game changer in the final war. Elbaf's not just another pit stop on the Grand Line. It is the key to unlocking the world's hidden history, piecing together the clues to the Void Century, and tipping the scales in the final war for the One Piece. So we talked about how Usopp is gearing to challenge Elbaf's warrior ideals and redefine what bravery means. But here's the thing. Yeah, Usopp's growth has been about proving his courage. But what happens when he hits a roadblock? What if all his clever tricks and strategies just aren't enough anymore? Elbaf is definitely going to push him to his absolute limits, and while he's come a long way, it might also expose that he's still missing that last piece of inner strength to take on the toughest challenges ahead. And this leads us to the question, can Usopp level up even further? Because let's be honest, One Piece has shown us that true power isn't just about brains or tactics, it's about tapping into something deep like Conqueror's Haki. We've seen it happen so many times with Luffy, with Zoro and Wano, characters with like that extra gear when needed, no pun intended. Could Usopp be next? Could he unlock this kind of strength to survive and thrive in a world full of conquerors? And if you're curious to explore that idea further, check out my video on Usopp unlocking Conqueror's Haki. I dive into the science we've seen throughout the entire series and why Elbaf might just be the perfect place for Usopp to reach his full potential. Let's run it.